Good morning, Steve, a passionate piscator here yet again. Oh God, it's a fair old walk from the old railway station. Well, I say it's a fair old walk. It's a fair old walk for a lazy fat guy like me. It's only about a mile. But I'm finally here at my destination. This is Century Ponds. Now, I've never been here before. It's on the Keynsham Angling Association ticket. You have to be a member to be able to fish here. It's got plenty of carp in. But also I hear bream, tench, roach, perch, and it's the bream, tench, roach, perch that I'm after today. The weather forecast, I mean, Bristol's been sunny as anything this past week or so. Proper factor 50 sort of weather, especially for me in my reddening that happens when the sun comes out. But luckily, or unluckily, luckily for the suntan, but unluckily for me, it's been tipping it down all night long, and it looks set to be tipping it down for most of the rest of the day. So I'm all clobbered up. In fact, it's stopped raining now for a little bit, so I can let off some of the heat from all that walking. I'm absolutely sweating. What I'm going to do, brand new venue, just have a little look around and see where I might want to fish. There's two lakes. I believe this is Island Lake because it has an island in it. I'm not sure what this lake is called. I'll have to look it up. But it's the oldest of the lakes. I probably expect the bigger fish to be in there, if there is such a thing, and the smaller of the fish to be in there, since that's an older one and that's a newer one. But it doesn't matter to me. I'm just after some fish, and I'm after a nice little swim. I was going to say, hopefully with a bit of cover from trees, but they've been... Oh, there's a bit of fish movement out there now already, look. But they've been trimming the trees down and maintaining the fishery, I imagine, during lockdown. One of the most important vital tasks to do in any fishery. So why not do it when you have to close down and follow the COVID restrictions? But yeah, as I say, I'm going to have a little wander around, have a look, see if I can see some fish moving, which I already am, and see where I want to set up. A nice little spot. Excellent. I've had a good walk around the lakes now, and I've decided to fish on Old Pond. Now that end of the lake has a monk in it, and my brain's thinking that's the deeper end of the lake itself. But I'm actually at a really shallow end of the lake, and it's only about 3 foot deep. And there's a lot of lily pads at this end, which also is a sign that this end is a lot shallower, because it takes, if lilies are in a deep part of water, they don't tend to grow, but in a shallow end they do. But I've chose here because I think there'll be a few fish milling around the lily pads, you know, tench like lilies, crucians like lilies. So I'm going to give it a go, and if it doesn't seem to work out for the first part of the day, there's plenty of spaces to move to. There's a couple of other anglers on the lake just turned up, so I've not got it all to myself. So I'll be speaking a bit quieter probably on the old camera. But I've just sprinkled out a few maggots. I've got some ground bait with me. There are bait restrictions on these two lakes. You're only allowed a certain amount of bait and certain types of bait. So I've only got a small amount of ground bait with me. I've got some rather manky leftover maggots and a few worms, just in case any perch show up. Yeah, looks like the other anglers are going for the deeper part of the lake. Maybe I made the wrong decision there. But, you know, brand new lake, you've got to give it a try. They're going for the old lake too, so maybe that's a good sign. I might go and pick their brains a bit later on to see what the fishing's like. Anyway, these fish aren't going to catch themselves, so I'm going to get started. It's been a bit hard going so far. Fishing near these lilies, I think there's a lot of carp in here. You can see them moving around. And I'm only fishing 4-pound line, and they are brutally smashing me up. I think the pond behind me, the island pond, is more of a match lake. So there might be smaller carp in there. It probably wouldn't be quite so brutal. But I'm going to still give it my half a day in this swim. So far I'm just fishing maggot. I've got my ground bait, but I haven't needed it. A little touch on the float there. But, you know, if you don't try, you don't know, do you? I'm fishing a little bit further away from the lilies now to give myself a bit of a chance. Still, it's a chilly old day. So the fish aren't going to be going mad for it. And the pond is only like 3 foot deep here. Just watching this float. Keep going, keep going. Here we go. Lovely little carp on the maggot. Fantastic. Super chilly. Chap across the way just caught a decent carp by the looks of it. I keep getting smashed up by carp. I've had a few more perch, but the swim's gone very quiet now. It's coming up to about 11 o'clock, and I think what I will do is move over to the lake behind me to give that a go. As I say, I've never actually been to this venue before, so I genuinely don't know what sort of fish are in what lake. It's just started to rain again, which is lovely. Sort of been spitting all morning. It's been quite lucky really with that. One thing I will say is it's absolutely beautiful here. Really, really nice. Loads of wildlife. Got swallows scooting around and ducking in around and picking up flies and things. I could watch them all day long, and indeed probably will. Anyway, I've got another 20 minutes or so on here. It's like chap's caught a good mid-double. I keep getting beaten up, but I'm only fishing 4-pound line. Well, I did get that nice sort of orangey brown one earlier on. It was a little bit of a tussle. Yeah, it's a nice fish, maybe not quite mid doubles. Anyway, I'll see if I can get a few more perch and then head over to the lake behind me. Try and warm up a little bit too. middle of the day. I've just changed lakes. I'm over onto the island lake now. Let me get myself round here. Move that out of the way. Everything's in the way. Oh, it's not so easy moving it back. Get everything set up nicely, and then you have to move it all around. So I picked a little corner directly behind the swim I was in before. There's a nice little reed bed in front of me, and the wind's blowing from my back, which should push the food into the correct area, but also just give myself a little bit of respite from that chill wind, because it's very chill. You wouldn't believe, but it was 18 degrees yesterday. Now it's struggling to get to 8 degrees. So, same method. I've just got my float, some maggots, and a plumber depth, and see what fish are in here. I've been chatting to the nice chap who was pitched up opposite me, and he said this is more of a silverfish lake anyway. It's probably more of a lake I was after, to be honest. Though I wasn't unsuccessful in the lake behind me. Caught a nice little carp and quite a few little perch. I think I shall return to there for those carp. Those carp look gorgeous, including the one he caught. He's fishing with pellet and boilie, so it seems good to me. And then the maggot and the worm work pretty well. But it does need something a little bit more beefy. I've only got my really light float rod, 4-pound line, fishing up tight to those lilies. I lost 3 carp in them, and that's not good. So yeah, I think maybe my nice barbel rod, 175-pound test curve, 6 to 8-pound line. When the weather's warm, I reckon I could do all right out of there. Anyway, I'm going to put some bait out here and get them feeding up again. It could take a little while, so it is chilly. But the sooner I start, the sooner I can start catching. Plastic goose on the island isn't doing its work. It's been put there to deter the geese, as has the model scarecrow. Oh, into a fish. But nobody seems to have told the geese that. They're currently sitting on a clutch of eggs. Little perch. Lots of little fish in this swim. This is certainly a silverfish lake for sure. But struggling to actually catch them. Sort of suckling the maggots, and when they come in you can see they've been chewed. I think I've got to fish so that it's just touching the bottom so I can feel the bite a bit better. It's certainly a lot nicer fishing with this wind to my back rather than coming into my face, so I'm enjoying that a lot better. Lovely, popped down to the ground bait. We've got a lot of maggot out there. Nice to catch something other than a perch, but if that's the case, I'm still happy doing it. It's a voyage of discovery. Eels up inside ya, find an entrance where they can. Eels up inside ya, find an entrance where they can. Born for your mind, for your tummy, for your anus, eels. It's not very often I encourage anyone to look at the long wriggly thing in between my legs. There we go, Mr. Eel. Woo! Wriggly as ever. It's no good getting this guy to stay still for the camera. There he is. Lovely to see the eels. but very hard to catch and unhook. Oh, in you go, buddy, and away. Looks like the rain has well and truly set in now. I think I was getting away with it, having little sporadic showers this morning. It's not hammering it down, don't get me wrong, but it's just consistently damp. And I was getting quite a few little perch and other nibbles on the float, but as soon as this has set in, the temperatures dropped considerably and everything has just dried up, which is a shame. But I'm going to keep plugging away. I've certainly got enough bait to keep them interested. Still fish moving around, but I can honestly say I've never been to a fishery, or at least not for a very, very long time, with so much wildlife. There's little wrens busying around in the bushes, and there's been reed warblers, a pair of them, over in the reeds on the opposite bank there, just flitting around. Magpie just flew past us then. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm getting a bit lost and entranced in the in all the wildlife, if I'm honest. Perhaps that's why I'm missing the bites. Perhaps I should be paying more attention. But you know me, Captain Distraction. I'm always looking around. You probably see in my videos, I'm always looking around. The fish just jumped in, see? Straight away, I was on it. But I'm always looking around at the birds and the wildlife, because that's part of being out fishing, isn't it? It's being able to be out and appreciate everyone else who's appreciating, and all the other creatures who are appreciating the surroundings, the beautiful surroundings. Just wish it wasn't quite so damp. Actually, I could do with the damp, but it's just really cold now. It's, you know, middle of spring, and I just looked then because there was a robin. He's been bugging me all day for maggots. I'll get to you in a minute. I've lost my train of thought now. That robin did it. Okay, fine. I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll feed you some maggots. Sure. Straight on it. Tell you what, he gets very impatient. There he is, down there now. Simple maggots when the fish have. He literally flies in behind you and just keeps twittering and flapping around until you give him something to eat. Hopefully you've got a nest of young that's all going to, and you're not eating it all yourself, you gutty bugger. Yeah. Just had a heck of a fight with this fish on my 4-pound line. Take a gander at this. If I can get her up. Clear off some of this muck. This is on the Match Lake, mind you. Oh. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful deep belly common. That was just on 2 maggots, 1 white, 1 red, size 14 hook, 4-pound line. It took about 20 minutes to get in, mind you. She put up a hell of a fight. What a stunning, stunning fish. I'm going to take a quick picture and I'm going to pop her back in as soon as I can. Mwah! What a gorgeous, gorgeous fish. Lovely old thing. She's a tired old girl. So she's been fighting well. Doesn't seem to want to go, does she? Get some breath back into her. There we go, look at that. Go on then. There we go. Going to sulk down the bottom of the lake. Oh. Well, that's her back into the water. That was unexpected. This is meant to be, so I've been told, more of the Match Lake. In fact, they hold a regular match on here. It's every couple of weeks or so. And it's more of a silverfish lake, this one apparently, with bream and roach and various other fish in. But there are the odd carp, and I wasn't expecting one as big as that for a Match Lake, to be honest with you. Actually, she weighed 14 pounds and 5 ounces in the end. I did briefly think, just before I put her back in the water, I was like, oh my word, I haven't weighed her. So I gave her a quick weigh in the net, before she went in, 14.5 on £4 line. And I say £4 line, but I completely forgot that I put a £3 hook length on when I moved on to this lake. I had £4 line straight through on the other lake, and I put a £3 hook length on this one. So 14 pounds and 5 ounces on a £3 hook length is pretty good. It's no wonder it took me the best part of 20 minutes to get in. After that, I was going to pack up, I must admit, but I'm going to give it an extra 20 minutes, half an hour. As you can see, well, we're not very well, it is hammering it down now. I mean, I'm wet anyway, so, you know, what's more wet going to do to you? I think I'm wetter than the fish now. But if there's anything I've learned from my little excursion today on these brand new lakes to me, I had really no idea what sort of fish were in them and how to fish them, is that the carp are quite plentiful here, and they will smash you to pieces on a really light float rod and really light line. So I think next time I visit, I'll be donning the £6 line, maybe a £5 hook length. I think that should be able to tame some of these beasts a bit better, and particularly so in the other pond where we had those lily pads. I'll probably go a little bit heavier there to try and hoof them out. But yeah, what a cracking day's fishing. I mean, it's been horrendous with this weather, and it continues to be horrendous with the weather. But yeah, I've just enjoyed every second of it. It's been brilliant. I love going to new venues and finding out all the different things about them when you get there. And also chatting to the locals as well, getting some top tips. And the chap was really kind. He saw me struggling away with my with my little float rod, and he came round and netted it for me. I think, like he said, I wanted to see you catch it before I went home. I said, I wanted to see you lose it before you went home, but no, I didn't lose it. It's a nice open space here to play the fish in. It had plenty of room. There's nobody else fishing on this lake. Had plenty of room to play it. No snags. Great, just chuffed. I shall be certainly back for some more of those carp. But, you know, as I say, I'm going to slug it out for another 20 minutes, half an hour, get a little bit more wet, and see if I can't get a few more silverfish, which is technically what I came down for today. You know when it's time to call a day, when that little bit of water runs down your spine and just gets into the top of your bum crack. And that happened about 3 hours ago for me. It's been tipping it down for about 3 hours. I think I was lucky this morning to have just the small showers going through. But I've had a fantastic day here at Century Ponds on the Keynsham Angling Association ticket. I've got lots of little tiny perch. Shame I didn't see any of the big ones, but I'm certain they're in there. I've got a nice little eel and a couple of nice carp, including that 14-pounder, which I was so happy to get in on that really light line. At any minute I was thinking, oh, my line's going to snap. Luckily it didn't. And it's even worse sometimes, although the gentleman was very, very kind helping me out. But when someone's watching you, you know any minute that line's going to snap. Oh dear. But it didn't. And I managed to get her in, and what a gorgeous fish she was. Anyway, I'm absolutely freezing now. I'm soaked to the bone, and I'm absolutely starving. What have I learned today from my first trip here? Well, I think the first thing I've learned is I probably need to beef up my rod a little bit better just to deal with some of these carp, and beef up my line accordingly as well. But the maggots worked really well. The carp really seemed to enjoy them, and the worms really went down a treat with them as well. The other chap was using pellets and boilies, so that's another option for me to use. Not quite sure what the other two anglers were using. I think they only caught an eel at the end of the day. But I'll steer clear of whatever that was. Will I be back? Of course I'll be back, absolutely. And I want to come down on a nice sunny day when the fish are moving around and I can really get involved with it. It's been a real hard slog today with this pouring down rain. And I shall be glad, actually glad, when I can get home and dry up and warm up and also have something to eat. As I say, I'm absolutely famished. I didn't bring any food. I've got a small backpack on my back and I had to bring ground bait with me. It was either ground bait or food, and I suppose I could have eaten the ground bait, but I decided against it. Lovely to see all the wildlife here as well. God, those little ducklings were so fun to watch all day long. 10 of them actually. The other chap said there were 12 originally, so they're doing really well. I think a lot of it goes down to this otter fencing they've got round. Keeps out the foxes, you see. Anyway, I have been the Passionate Piscator, and you have to be pretty passionate to be out in this weather. I will see you again on the bank sometime. Like and subscribe. Bye!